Hey guys, I've lost millions trying to start businesses in Nigeria. In fact, recently I put up a poll where I asked my community to kind of tell me how many businesses they think I failed. A lot of them think that I failed just between 1 to 8 businesses. And sadly, that's not true. I failed in over 20 businesses in Nigeria, right? Now, why did those businesses fail? I will tell you in this video. Now, obviously, I'm not going to talk about all my business failures here. No. However, I'm going to theme them by industry and then theme them by what I learned from that experience. Now, for the first industry, we're going to look at the fashion-inspired businesses I failed in. I had a business called Souls Africa. Basically, it was supposed to be Etsy for shoes. Etsy for handmade shoes, actually. I had another one called Authentic. Authentic was an athleisure wear. Funny thing is, I was going to the gym and I was looking for what to wear recently, and I saw some of my Authentic samples. Yeah, so Authentic was an athleisure wear. I had a print-on-demand business when I was in university. I started it in secondary school, then I moved into university with the same business. And I had another business called For Clothing that I started with 3 of my very close friends when we just left secondary school, right? So what did that experience of failure teach me? Now, with Souls Africa, everything was working fine until we had to deal with people. So people being the shoemakers themselves. These people were not the most honest. They were not the most organized. You know, they were a real grind. They were a real grind. Like, you could talk to your shoemaker today and he would say things like, oh, he's in the market. Okay? Then tomorrow he'll be like, oh, I'm going to the market today. So, you know, their lies never tallied, basically. So people management was something I struggled with in that particular business. With For Clothing, like I said, I started with 3 of my friends, and I was the only person that actually wanted to start a business at that time. The remainder of my friends wanted to do other things. And honestly, I love those guys and I don't blame them. Like, so what actually happened and what actually killed the entire idea was we went to one of our parents, and the guy, he's not the guy, he's an old man. Oh, please, let me not sound rude and disrespectful here. What he said was, what we're trying to do is a good idea, but there's no market for it. That instead, why do we look for everyday items and start a business like that? So things like tissue paper, underwear, all of that. And in my naivety, arrogance, and stupidity at the time, in my head, I obviously didn't say this because that would be so disrespectful. But in my head, I was like, he doesn't know what he's saying. My guy, he was so right. He was so right because now that's actually what business is. That's what your first business should be. Your first business should not be something that makes you feel good. It should be something that adds value to the marketplace, right? That's one thing I learned. So if you hear that I run a tissue factory or something, don't be surprised, because that's how I think today, right? Another thing is my mindset is now 3 things: shelter, food, clothing, right? And then I just stack on top of that. That's typically how my mindset works these days. Then the other factors you want to look at: can you work B2B, B2G? You know, I'm not going to go into in-depth into that. Let's move on to something else. Now, the second industry where I failed was actually service-inspired businesses. So I had a laundromat. I had an event business. My event business used to organize parties and sports events. Now, with services, it consumes a lot of your time. So with the laundromat business, I started that when I was in school, and I started it by mistake. I was walking home carrying laundry to go and wash at home because I had a house on campus, and people were like, "Oh, what are you going to do?" I said, "I go wash clothes." "Oh, really? Okay. Let me wash mine as well. Like, I'll give you back." Okay, no, bring it. Not to. So people started doing that, and then I'll go home, wash it, bring it back. Nothing fancy. I didn't used to iron. I didn't used to put it in a packaged bag. None of that. Straightforward stuff. I had my duffel bag, and I'll just come to your room, dump it on your bed, and move on. Right? That particular business had a lot of potential, and the reason why I say this was when I was in school, I was a very social individual. Like, I was a social individual. I don't want to brag or say anything extra more than that. But it's a business where if I told people that, oh, I do this, people would naturally want to patronize me. Okay? I didn't think that far. I was naive. I was a baby in business. I didn't understand these things. And mind you, I was studying industrial chemistry. This is before my marketing management masters, or before I even got into the system of marketing, right? I just used to do this because I loved selling. I loved businesses. I loved the idea of ownership and taking your life into your own hands, that sort of thing. That's why I love business. Anyways, going back to the laundromat issue, I did not understand that these are the things I could do to then scale the business. And what happened was when I left university, obviously the business died a natural death. It was a very friends and family type run business, right? Obviously, friends and family, they didn't pay much, right? So there was that. Now with the event center business, that's the one I enjoyed the most. So I used to organize like snooker events in the middle of the night, get people to play, things like that. No, I wouldn't say gambling. It wasn't gambling, because there's a very clear difference between gambling and organizing an event. So with gambling, it's just straight up two guys, blah, 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 blah. With organizing an event, there are tickets, there's watch experience, you are bringing money to the people that own the lounge, all those kind of things. I enjoyed that particular business. I loved it. I loved it. I loved it. I loved it. The problem was I wasn't the owner of the snooker tables. Okay? I wasn't the owner of the snooker tables. And when I wanted to start buying snooker tables, it cost me a pretty penny. On top of buying the snooker tables, you need to find the lounge to put the snooker tables, right? You then need to go into agreement with the person. Like, the story was just long. But I genuinely believe it's a fantastic idea. If I was to start that business today, I'll flip the switch. I'll flip it the other way. So I'll start the lounge business and have the snooker table as a side attraction. The next industry is media inspired failures. So the first one, and I started this in school, I used to have a record label. It was called Triangle Records. And our pioneer artist, or our first artist, was a guy called Fiki Don. Now, Fiki Don came from a particular side of Lagos. I can't remember, but it was bubbling. Like, the guy had a banging jam. And we went for tours. But we didn't go for like a lot of tours like that. Let me not make it sound like it was a big deal. But we went to like maybe 2 or 3 tours, and he started to pick up some traction, all of that. But guys, running a record label is very, very expensive. Like, how people always shit on these people and say that, oh, this record label is taking 80% of this person's income or streaming, blah blah blah. If you know how much it is to run a record label, or more, hey, when Charlie Poppy said the lifestyle cost, now no. I understand, because running that record label was ridiculously expensive. Like, all my pocket money from my mom used to go into that record label, all. And I had all these other side businesses that used to bring me money. Can you imagine? I also had a very, very, very good friend of mine, co-founder Kelvin. Shout out to you, bro, if you're watching this. He also was a very big sponsor. I think he was the financial sponsor. I was the runner. So I was all running around, doing the management, all of that. So finances was a huge issue there. Like, wow. Anyways, another one was so at the time when this was happening, there was Cracks TV was on the come up. Then there was Tunde Ednut as well on the come up, as this social media channel, blogs, stuff like that. So I started another one, right? I started one called Cult, CULT. So CULT basically stands for Cultural Urban Leading Touch, right? That's what I started. And the way I started it from the angle of I want to focus on fashion, African inspired fashion, right? So Bella Nigeria, there were quite a few of them that were non-Nigerian. Those are where I was getting inspiration from. And I was posting pictures, posting videos it was on Instagram, stuff like that. When I applied for a particular job as a digital marketing executive, those are one of the things that, the person that employed me asked to see. And, there was something there. So obviously, I don't think it was great. Let me backtrack. I don't think it was great, but it was something that was one of the key factors that helped me to get that job. So in a way, it's ended up a success because that got me into the grind, got me to understand a whole lot more about digital marketing, which is now then the backbone of my e-commerce businesses, right? That kind of thing. So yeah, I started Cult. Cult was very, very difficult, guys, especially because I was playing in a space where I wasn't familiar with. So when you're starting a business, pick a place where you are strong, right? My businesses today that are very successful, is because I'm in a space where I'm very strong. Like 1 to 10 on a bad day, I'm 7. Like wake me up from sleep, I'm giving you like 8, 9. So when you want to start your own business, pick niches that you're very strong at. If you are young, you have time, or you don't have money, all you do is actually have time. Just dabble in so many different things and see what clicks. And that's exactly what I did. So that's how we got here. Another one was Kaizen Lessons. So Kaizen Lessons was actually the first time I came online to teach and help businesses, small businesses. Kaizen Lessons Kaizen Lessons was supposed to be a marketing tool for the website agency, right? So people would attend Kaizen Lessons, show interest, register, and if any of them wanted us to build their websites for them, they would then go to the design agency and development agency and work on it for them. Now, Kaizen Lessons, what happened? I forgot the password to the social media account. And then that was COVID. So I also went through my own form of mental health issues during that period. I had to calm things down. I had to breathe. I had to take a step back and breathe. Life was really lifing at that particular moment. So 2 things. Number 1, obviously, don't forget your Instagram password. Number 2, don't burn out. If your mental health is in the gutter, take it out. Don't try and force it through the gutter. Take it out. Take some time out. Sometimes you might be in a situation where financially you can't remove your head from that gutter. And I understand it. I understand it all too well. But you're playing the long game. Always remember that you're playing the long game. If you leave your head in the gutter, sometimes nothing will be solved. Just take a step back. Take a step back and seek clarity in that situation. Yeah, I'm becoming a bit too deep and motivational. Let's move on. Another one where I failed was obviously food, right? So I had 3 food businesses that I tried. I tried a mini bakery. I tried a palm wine business. So this is the one I enjoyed the most. Out of all the business ideas I failed in, I think this is the one where I enjoyed the most and I literally put myself in the most. So, and I'll tell you why. So I started a palm wine business. I was going to take lessons from are they called Firo? Firo. They're on the airport road, around the airport, Lagos airport. I can't remember. So it was a course where they would teach you how to extract palm wine and preserve it and serve it for weddings, parties, things like that. So that was my aim. Like, you know what? Instead of people drinking Coke and Fanta at these events, let me offer them palm wine as a unique service or as a unique product offering. That was our approach. What did Damini call this palm wine drink? I call this Malik. Malik's Pami. So basically, Malik actually stands for king, right? So I was going to call it King's Pami, but I called it Malik. Now, if you are not culturally ignorant like I was, you would understand that Malik and alcohol shouldn't be together. If you know, you know, right? So that was very silly of me. And guys, I ran with this idea. I ran with this idea to the point where there was a time when there was the Tony Elumelu Foundation, 1,000 people getting $1,000, something like that. So I applied, guys, with Malik's Pami. As I said, that this is one of the ideas that I know I engaged myself thoroughly in it and I loved it, but it was so silly. Like, thinking back, it was just so stupid. Anyways, obviously, they didn't accept me in the Tony Elumelu Foundation. I remember seeing that email from Mr. Tony, and he, I can't remember what he said word for word, but basically it was like, oh, thank you so much for your application. Sadly, there's a limited group. Your idea wasn't Your idea wasn't bad, but we had to go with just this, blah, blah, blah. Child gaslighting me. The next one is an egg toast sandwich business. So I want to assume that there are people that know Fountain of Life Church, right? In Fountain of Life, after service, there used to be these people that used to sell egg toast, right? Guys, that egg toast, Jesus Christ, it was beautiful. It was delicious. It was amazing. And me being me, I'm like, how much is it to set this up? So obviously this is a church environment, so they probably don't pay for this place. Even if they pay, it's only too expensive. The guy has 2 toasters, only him is running it. He has gloves, bread, egg. This is a pretty straightforward setup. I can do this. I bought toaster the next day. So I think one good thing to learn about that is when you have an idea, act fast, right? That's one thing here, guys. I fail extremely fast. Like when it comes to failure, I fail so fast. Like I want to get my hand in there fast, quickly, and move on. If the thing works, fantastic. Oh yeah, how fast can we fail again? That's literally me. Honestly, that is literally me. Just look at this YouTube channel. You will see it in this YouTube channel. Because like my earlier videos, you will see what I'm saying, right? I fail extremely fast. Anyways, so I bought the toaster the next day. Then, now, let's go and start looking for where to put this toaster. That's where the business started to show me shaggy. So basically, even though you want to fail fast, make sure you have a plan or an idea of how the whole thing would run before you invest into your business. I shouldn't have bought that toaster that fast. I'll call it a spade, right? Instead, I should have gone to look for the location where I will put that business. Because as I speak to you, that toaster is probably somewhere, right? That toaster never made me 1 naira. In fact, that toaster took my money. It took money from me. It didn't make me money. Another industry where I flopped was actually the transportation industry. So in this particular industry, I had 2 types of businesses I wanted to run. I had worked on my business plan. I had people that were ready to fund the idea. I had people that were actually ready to fund the idea, right? So it was going to be hire purchase. So I'll buy a keke, give it to. So the area where I used to live in Ogun State, keke and peps were becoming quite popular, right? So I was like, okay, let's go and buy a keke and pep and then do hire purchase, right? Okay. Let's go and look for the person that would hire to purchase. Problem, right? So the main problem there was nobody to actually come and collect keke from us. So fine, the idea was a great idea, but we didn't have the social network or network to get people to actually come and start the business for us. So we had the business idea, we had everything set up, we had the money, we had the funds. We just didn't have the social network required. So social network is very, very key. It's very, very important. Another transportation business that I saw Shege in was I tried to do this Sienna business where it would go from Lagos to Ibadan. That was just my route. I was going to get a Sienna that would just stay at the park, or Jotap, or what's it called now, Beggar Park, Ojodu Park, and just take people from Lagos to Ibadan. That was it. It was not hire purchase. It was going to be a driver, right? That one wanted hire purchase. Problem number 1. So the business where I saw hire purchase was not the business I wanted to hire purchase. But in the grand scheme of things, now sitting where I am today, I should have actually just given the fellow for hire purchase, right? Another issue I had is when I went to the parks, when I went there, they saw me and they were like, but boy, low, this boy has money in English. And they billed. So once I found out the cost, I was like, wow, this is not going to work. This is not a good idea. When the person that was going to do the hire purchase went, the cost they brought back to me was a very different cost. So I don't know how to explain the business lesson there, but if you are dealing with a certain group of people, make sure you look more like them. Don't go in your high and mighty horse and try to negotiate with them. And this is so funny because when I used to run a gadget store, I would go to Computer Village and buy products. Guys, whenever you see me going to Computer Village, Damini is fresh now. When I was going to computer village, I would scatter my hair, I would wear slippers, I would wear the dingiest jeans you can imagine. The shirt I would wear, the neck would slack. Just so that when I get there, nobody would think that, okay, this guy rich kid. And to be fair, that time I didn't even have bar. God has just been merciful to us, right? So look the part. Basically, I think that's the business lesson there. Look the part. Now, for key takeaways, the first thing I'll say is try not to do this alone. It's very lonely, extremely lonely. Try your best not to do it alone. In fact, that's why I started the EMBA program, right? It's just a community for e-commerce entrepreneurs. Because you need somebody to bounce off ideas. A lot of these business failures, people that had gone through it before me, and people are still going through it after me. Hopefully they'll see this video and they will learn from it. But just me speaking to those people and being in the vicinity or environment where those people were, I would have learned not to do certain things. And I would have saved money and probably made more money by now. Right? That sort of thing. That's number one. Number two, money is everywhere. Guys, money is everywhere. Like I told you, I can remember that day so vividly. I was walking to the Potter's Lodge and one of my guys was like, Alpha guy, what's in your bag? I'm on a dirty cloth. I want to go wash for house. Really? Yeah, let me wash my own too now. I will give you back. Yeah, now you're talking. That's how that business started, right? There is money, there is value, there is needs to be met all around you, right? That's number two. Number three, have some form of plan or structure in place. You don't need a fancy business plan that is 20 pages, all of that. I have done that. And trust me, that business is not standing today. It is still a business idea. And maybe one day it will become a real business. But let's see, right? So don't make the same mistake I made, right? That's number three. Number four is read books. Like, there are so many things I learned from reading a book after I've made a mistake that I'm like, I should have read this book first. So I have a video, go and check that video. I'll link it up here, I'll put it in the description. Read books, right? The next one, make sure the business you want to go into, right, is profitable for you. Make sure it is profitable for you. I have done so many businesses where I made so much money, guys. I made so much money. But when I paid for the equipment, the services, and everybody else involved in the business with me, I made peanuts. All that was left was peanuts. So make sure you are running or going into a profitable business, right? Now, if you're looking for some ideas of what is actually profitable as of today, especially with e-commerce, watch any of these two videos.